Today we're going to look at the 3-axis gimbal from Feiyu Tech, the G4 QD. Ooh, gimbal. And here it is, the Feiyu Tech G4 QD gimbal. Just got it in, and my first unboxing of it. Nice instructions, which are a little lackluster. Definitely has a read me first that you need to read. I will say that the packaging is great with this box. Very secure, and all of your cables, USB, the AC outlet to recharge your batteries, and the important USB dongle, which is what you want to use with the firmware updates. So definitely use that. You've got 2 sets of batteries, which is really nice to have an extra set, because after you charge it, yay, you've got an extra set to go right into. Like I said, the packaging is very, very nice with this. I was kind of pleasantly surprised and pleased because it's very secure. And enough about the box and the packaging. Let's get to the gimbal. There it is. And there is the quick dismantling spring-loaded plate up front, so there's no screws, and on-off button on the bottom. Now, one of the first things that you're going to notice is that I'm using an SJ-Cam 5000X Elite in this Feiyu Tech gimbal. And the reason I got it is because when I purchased it, it said that it was able to hold an action camera, not just a GoPro 3 or 4, but also action cameras that were between 33 and 46 millimeters. So I knew that the SJ-Cam 5000 would fit into it. It's got the on-off button on the bottom of the handle, and in mode 1, as you see here, tracks along nicely. You press it twice, and now it will pan up and pan down as you move the handle. Really nice unit. I mean, I'm pleased with it. You know, it's first unboxing, and then I played with it a little bit. When you have it in the third mode, which is you click it 3 times, and now you can turn it upside down for those really low shots, but it's still stabilized. So, you know, that can come in handy. Obviously, I need to learn how to speak, but it'll come in handy when you are looking to do those low shots. The handle on it is a little short. Now, I do understand that they make an extension pole that will screw into it, although it makes it, just in my opinion, a little cumbersome to turn it on and off if the pole's in the way. But, you know, the SJ-Cam fit in there nicely with the spring clip. You press one button on the bottom and the unit shuts off. Pretty simple, on, off. No firmware has been updated on this one yet, but I did do a calibration for the tilt. So, pros and cons. Well, obviously the first pro that I feel is going to be that cost-wise, I mean, at $149 to $100 and probably $60 or so, you're getting a great 3-axis motorized gimbal, brushless motors, that does fantastic with footage to smooth out all of your footage, whether you're using a GoPro or an SJ-Cam or one of the other action cams. Another pro that I like from the Feiyu Tech is that you get an extra set of batteries. Nice little dual charger. These are all great things. The batteries are half the size as far as length of the Evo batteries. I'll do a later comparison to kind of show what battery length is going to be as far as how long it's going to last. Each one of these are 900 milliamp hours, 3.7 volts. I've done the adjustment setting software where you can adjust the tilt of the camera horizontal, and that's pretty straightforward. I watched another guy's video. I'll put a link to his channel. I think it was either ATM24 or AT24. Very informative channel. But I was watching his tutorial on how to do the settings, and that actually made it simple because, you know, the instructions, I will say, are a bit lacking for the Feiyu Tech. It is smaller in length than the Evo gimbal. This one does not have the joystick knob on it, which was really cool on the Evo. This one has a button, but it's got basic, you know, the basic necessities for what you're going to use it for. You can get an extension pole. It's, you know, on-off button down over here on the bottom. So the pros are good stability for your footage, extra set of batteries, which is always nice. Cost, definitely a plus. I do kind of like the spring clamp for the QD. I don't know how long it's going to hold up. I've read a couple of reviews where somebody had said that their GoPro got all scratched up using this clamp. And I don't know if you can tell right there, but there is a rubber seal between the top metal and the camera, and one also on the bottom, so I don't see how that you could scratch it. It does take a little bit of finesse to pull that spring and install the camera. I've kind of gotten used to the screw thing, and I thought, well, you know, quick disconnect. That seems kind of cool. On the con side, well, the cons are that first off is going to be the motors. These motors make some noise. They're a little bit on the noisy side, so if you're filming footage and you're expecting audio in a decent quality, you will notice that there is I can't say a buzz, it's more of a whine that you hear from the motors, especially when they're moving a lot. But, you know, is that a big con to me? If I'm using it for audio, yes, I guess I can in post go back and take out the that little buzz or that whine. But in the big scheme of things, if you're using it for actual footage and you're actually shooting some B-roll with it, B-roll you never need the audio anyway. But if you are using it for audio, you're always going to have a backup recorder, whether you're doing a lavalier mic or you're doing just a backup recorder, whether it's a Tascam. I like my DR05. It's pretty decent. It's got a little bit of a noise floor in it, but we'll review recorders later on. But otherwise, you know, I mean, for the cost, when you think $149 for this versus, you know, even though the retail is supposed to be $350, you'll see them on eBay on auctions for $149, and depending on when time the auction ends, determines what time or determines what the final price is going to be. If it's nobody awake and it ends at 2, 3 in the morning, you may have an opportunity, like I did, to get a good deal on this one. But for $149, I think it's a good buy. Keep in mind that I've only had it now for a day and a half, so I'm still playing with it. But the noise that comes out of the motors was a little bit disappointing, because on the Evo GP Pro gimbal that I have, there is no noise at all. I still have to do a firmware update on this, and who knows, that may address some of that issue. Although I think that noise is going to be mechanical. I don't think it's going to be software driven, but who knows. I'll do a firmware update to the latest firmware. This is just my initial impressions of the Feiyu Tech G4 QD. So far so good. You know, when you compare it to an Evo gimbal, an Evo is going to be in $379 range. Expensive for a 3-axis gimbal, but you know, lots of times you get what you pay for, so you got to keep that in mind also. But for $149, I really don't see that you can go wrong. You know, this SJ cam's got a built-in gyro that is nice for the footage, but it will never ever equal what a 3-axis gimbal stabilization system can do. Speaking of camera, one of the biggest cons that I saw with this, and watch what happens here, the lens can actually hit that piece of metal right there, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to damage my camera lens. But if you take a look right there, it can actually hit and scratch the camera lens. That to me, you know, it moving around and being able to bump the camera, or if your camera has a back screen, hit the back LCD. Now granted, when it's initialized, it's in stationary mode, but when the gimbal is off, the camera flops around, and I would sure hate for anybody to scratch up the lens on their camera, not realizing that it'll actually swing around and hit the bottom of that metal. That is a little bit of an issue to me, because that does not happen with my with my Evo GP Pro. It does not happen. It does not swing around and get close to the metal edge. So that's something to think about. I would definitely put a lens cap on your camera when you are not filming and this thing has been turned off. Just make sure that your lens does not hit that little metal edge. But so far, for the cost, I'm extremely pleased with it. I'll shoot some more footage and let you see what it looks like outside. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that right now. All right, let's have a walk with the Feiyu Tech. And then a little run. So like always, if you like what you see, give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, share the video, and if you have any questions, put it in the comment section. Thanks.